Hello all students, hello aspirants, welcome to today's session. I'm sorry, I had my semester exam for the past few days, so that's the reason why I couldn't have any live stream for your services. If some of you don't know, I'm also doing my PhD for visual media communication journalism. So that is the reason why I couldn't have or conduct much of online sessions. So it's all done. I think by Saturday it was all over, and yeah, I think it was pretty good. And yes, today's class will be all about bilateral relations of India. And today is pretty much important for us. The reason is today was a budget session, and I really hope that you all have seen today's live streaming, or at least in your TV news channels that you must have seen your finance minister, that is, finance minister discussing. Like she went on for about I think 2 hours approximately, and I have to say that hats off to Nirmala Sitaramji because right from starting till the end, she had lots of people opposing her and making noises, but she was resilient enough. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm for the all the procedures that she laid down in the budget, or I'm not against it or for it, but I'm just saying as a speaker, when someone is speaking, you expect people who are listening to you to actually listen. But for her, what happened was that she kept on speaking. She tried to speak. She tried to, she wasn't speaking actually. She was shouting beyond her voice. The problem was that the people over there, all the other politicians, they were even, making lots of ruckus in the parliament. And as like very good aspirants, you all have to see the video. I mean, it's there on the YouTube, or you could watch in the TV news channel. And if you haven't watched it, do watch it after today's live stream, because you have to watch it. Because there's no point in for us to learn all these static notes when we can't even know all the current affairs and all these important. Uh, Budget session is not just important with perspective to your economics, but also your polity also. Okay, and when you're being an IAS officer or a civil service aspirant, I'm not just talking about only for IAS, even for IPS, and to a very large extent, even for the IFS officers, the IRS is very much important with regarding to the budget. I mean, you all have your own preferences, your categories and all. So I'm just saying is that this is the most important part, and you are gonna get at least for 3 or 4 marks for your prelims from the budget session. So just watch the video. I mean, you could just watch it 2 or 3 times, or you could even study tomorrow's newspaper. I'm going to show that they're going to give lots of extensive coverage of all the budget sessions, and every measures being discussed. I think it was lots of incentive schemes were there, and Garib Kalyan Yojana, and all these wonderful schemes were there, and many policies as well. And for students who have chosen public administration as your optionals, this is your place. Okay, this is gonna be your major holy grail, your budget session. So you have to study, try to memorize it. And yes, your civil services is very interesting for us to learn, but there are certain aspects, certain portions where are going to be lots of highly factual information. So there is no other way other than just by hearting it. I'm sorry, you have to by heart certain factual information, and on the basis of these factual informations, only you can write all these essays. So if you see something like that, you have to by heart. The other example is that today's class that I'll be taking, it's all about the bilateral relations and all these international organizations. So certain aspects from this you will have to by heart, like what is the objectives of these like these associations, when it was formed, and how many nations and countries were involved. So certain portions are there. For example, like in geography and all, you have to by heart certain aspects, certain factual information. So hi Arjun Alex, hi Balagobal, hi Atra Devdas. So this was just an introduction. I think we'll just wait for like 2 or 3 minutes, so that even others could also join. And yeah, today's this budget also discuss about BRICS presidency. Uh, we are going to discuss BRICS also in today's class, and BRICS presidency was also discussed in today's this financial budgeting, and then the doubling the farmers' incomes and all. Regarding that also was mentioned the global supply chain and all. So if you haven't watched it, you have to watch it. And even I couldn't watch properly, and BRICS presidency was also discussed. So I'm just hoping that after today's live session, also I'll just, it doesn't matter if I have to stay up late, but today, tonight, you have to stay up late for budget, because you are gonna get, just make yourself sure that you are gonna get hard on questions. This is a very compulsory area of your civil services. So study your budget. So yes, it's 8:39. We'll start the class by 8:40. And hi Tulasi. Yeah, okay. Emma is also very good. Thank you so much for asking about her. And yes, so we'll just wait for one more minute, because as per the YouTube policies and all, some people, some aspirants, they'll get the notifications very late, and they'll have to wait for some more minutes. So for those reasons, for the sake of them, we'll just wait for that. And let me just send the links and all. I forgot to mention that in the Telegram channel that I'll be going live today, tonight. And with regarding tomorrow's newspaper, you have to study so much. So I'll try to have a newspaper session, newspaper analysis also tomorrow. I'll try, okay, because I'm not sure. The reason is that it's a working day tomorrow. I will be having works with my guide, PhD guide tomorrow. For those reasons only, I am not sure, but I'll try my level best to have any newspaper analysis session tomorrow. Hi, Gitanjali. Yes, I'll try for the newspaper analysis tomorrow, because tomorrow's newspaper is very much important. I don't really care if you haven't read the past day's newspaper, but tomorrow you will have to read. You'll have to study by heart, do whatever you want, but many portions, and even I think it was on 28th. 28th newspaper was also very important. Why? Because lots of awards were declared on the Republic Day on 26th, and Padma Vibhushan, Padma Shris and all. So even that we have to see. And I think 4 people got Padma Bhushan, and Padma Vibhushan. I'm not sure how many people, but those things and all. Just take a just sometimes when I have exams, yeah, it's okay to skip newspaper, but do not try to skip more than for 2 days. The problem is that on the third day you will have to read 3 days of newspaper. It will be very much hectic for you, and I can't even imagine a day when it's not that I love newspaper, but I'm scared of skipping a newspaper one day, and I know that when I get a chance, I'll have to read all the day's newspaper. So that is a big terror for me. So no problem if you skip the newspaper, but tomorrow's newspaper is very much important. And if you haven't read 28th, because 27th there were newspaper and 28th it was there. So 28th also was very important, because many awards were declared on that day. I think one full page was all about, inside page was all about awards and all. So you have to read that and study all that also. Remember it, because such factual questions will be asked for your prelims. So yes, I think we should just start on with the class. Many students have joined the session already. So today we are going discussing about few of the important organizations, in that is international organizations wherein India is a member. So you must be wondering, what is the need for having, India being member of all these international organizations? Thing is that, like, we human, try to represent that as humans, okay? For example, compare nation to a person. I am a person and I cannot live alone. I need others also. I need to have my own understanding with my neighbors, my own understanding with my colleagues, my own understanding with all these students and all. I have to have a cordial relationship. How important is budget in economic survey for UPSC exam? It's very much important. It's not just for your prelims point of view, even for your mains, they are gonna come. Especially in your polity part, there are gonna come that, and also in your economics, also this economy part, also you're gonna have lots of it. So I'm not just talking about your prelims sake of it. For your both prelims and your mains, and even some part, interview, we cannot restrict it to certain points, because they are gonna ask you about anything and everything. Mostly the expected one is that they're gonna ask about you yourself, details about you. But there are chances that even for your interview, that everything related to budget is very important. Okay, do not take that lightly. Study it, and it doesn't matter if you haven't studied something else, but budget is important because it's very much current. It's happening now, and especially because this year is very much crucial. We know that we went into recession in the last quarter, and this is we were in. I'm not saying that we were developing, but we were actually a very good situation before that. But all of a sudden, we were in recession, all thanks to coronavirus and even some policies by the government also before that. And we are totally in, sort of like a road of recovery. So with all that came together, this year's budget is very much important. It doesn't, probably last year's it wouldn't be important, and even the coming next year if you're writing for next year's exam. So I'm not sure what is going to happen next year, but this year, because we know that lot many things happened, lots of activities came in, many people became unemployed, lots of migrant laborers, we know that while they were walking barefoot to their home, they died of starvations, they died of all these problems and all, and it affected our economy. And there is even I'm not sure which day's newspaper, I think it was 2 days before, I presume yesterday's or day before yesterday, it is said that the billionaires of India, they actually incurred lots of profit. So this is something sort of like an irony. When all these common people, middle class people, they are losing job, they're losing the economic stability. These high class, that is very much rich billionaires, they became even more richer if that was possible. And there was even, an option like in like having more tax imposed upon them. So that's going on. We're not sure. Uh, Last prelims, more questions were from economic budget. See, it doesn't, just because last year it was from economic budget, it wouldn't. You can't say that it wouldn't come this year. No, it's not like that. And I cannot even say that we follow a pattern, because this year's economic budget is very much important, because our financial stability is very much tumultuous this year. We all know that. And budget in order to augment on mains paper. Okay, I'll do a recorded video or live session, whatever I'll try to do. I'll try to make this thing, a live session on newspaper tomorrow. I'll try, okay. I'm not giving you a guarantee, because I have a little bit of work tomorrow and I have to meet up my guide tomorrow. That is the reason why. And I'm sorry, because if I give you a promise and if you wait for me and if I'm not able to fulfill it, that's a problem. So I'll try, okay. I'll try my very level best. And if I'm going live tomorrow, I'll be giving you all the links and all. So if not that, I'll make a recorded video of the budgets and all the important key elements of that, because it's very important. So yes, I think we discussed more about current affairs, and we totally forgot about today's class. So that is yes. Yeah, so you must have wondering, like I said, back to a point, why India has to be, why do we need to be part of any international organizations? Like I said, I cannot just be myself. I cannot make my own onions. I cannot cultivate my own rice and eat it. And I cannot sustain without money or currency. And, it's sort of like a transactions. Even if I am sort of like remorse or anti-social kind of a person, we all are social. We all are social animals. Same way also, our nation, India, and it's not just about India, any nation, we have to say, it's sort of like communication and interrelationships. And we cannot say that, okay, I'm against you. No. Even in the case of China, like if you have seen, like in all these exchanges between our external affairs minister, that is S. Jaishankar, and their ministers and all, we have seen even after these terrorist attack and all these, infiltrations into our territory, we know that what happened and all. So, even in spite of all that, whenever we see these two nations, that is people who is representing India and people who are representing China, when they are talking, they are always cordial, as if they are best friends and all, because that's the way they have to speak. They have to be more diplomatic. The reason is that even same way as human, for example, I hate my neighbor. It doesn't mean that I have to, show my face like this. I have to be more pleasant to them, because we are dependent upon each other. So same way also, our nation cannot sustain by itself, especially after, economic crisis that we had to incur in 1990s, and after that in 1991 by the then Prime Minister, who was that Manmohan Singh. He said after that only we started these liberalizations, globalizations, and all. So when all these privatizations started, we started giving more importance to all these exports and imports, and more likely, more than that, we started giving more importance to international relations, to have a very cordial, sort of like a bond between each others. For example, when Sri Lanka was in crisis during the war and all, we assisted them. Even for the Bangladesh, then during those period in the 70s, 1970s, it was East Bengal, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. West Pakistan is the present Pakistan, and Bangladesh was actually a part of Pakistan nation. Yes, geographically they are totally separated by, you have your neighbor. Okay, I don't hate my neighbor. I do love my neighbors and all. No, this was just an hypothetical example. Okay. So like I said, East Bengal, which is Bangladesh. New name for East Bengal is Bangladesh. Okay. So East Pakistan and West Pakistan, they were one nation but divided by geographical sections. That is, they had India in between, and these two provinces had their own issues with each other, and for those reasons, that East Pakistan, they wanted independence. They said that okay, we don't want to do anything with you. We'll govern ourselves. We don't want to be part of your nation, and we went and assisted Bangladesh. And okay, this might seems to be a lot sort of like politics to you all, but it's okay. And if you have seen that Pakistan and China are like best friends, and it's there's a quote like, your friend's enemy is your friend. So our enemy is Pakistan and China. So what did they do? They became friends with each other, and they know that if they are being friends with each other, if they have a very good diplomatic dialogue between each other, they will benefit each other, and they could, their common enemy is as India. Okay, so and even okay, and even for US, that is during the Donald Trump period, Donald Trump was personally against China. For that reason, even India was also personally against China, but we cannot show that on face. Okay, we probably inside us we like, okay, I hate China, but when you see a Chinese representative, you have to be all diplomatic, even if they bomb us, even if they infiltrate in your territory. So that is the problem and all. So yes, so that is the reason why we are have to be a part of all these bilateral relations, and this part is important for especially for students who want to be IFS officers. IFS is Indian Foreign Service. Just like we have IAS, that is Indian Administrative Service, we have IFS, and it's very hard. Even though that is in the third list, third priority of the whole category, all the cadre post and all. To be an IFS officer is very hard. To get into it, it's very hard, and we have to know all about all these bilateral relations, all these securities and international securities and internal securities and all. So this part is important for all the general aspirants, and also for IFS students this is pretty much more important. So the first one is SAARC. SAARC is actually South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation, and these are the nations which are part of it, which is Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Nepal, Sri Lanka, India, and Pakistan. And yes, so there are, like I said, there are certain aspects in your civil service portions which you have to by heart. Like for example, in some part of history you would have to by heart the dates, the names and all. And some part of polity also you have to do that, and geography especially you have to by heart lots of it. So here also in this part you have to mug up certain portions and certain points. So you have to know when it was established, and which are the nations which are for it, and where it had the first, organization was first established first, and who conducted the first conclave, and which year, and how many years. For example, in some for example, BRICS and all, they happens annually every year. But for some associations, probably they'll have just 2 years or 3 years. Nowadays, SARC's forum remains stagnant in comparison with the forums like BIMSTEC, ASEAN, and SEO. See, we cannot say that uh, because last day newspaper. I'm just saying the reason why I'm saying is that you have to study all that related to your current affairs. And I think it was 2 days before I saw a news in Hindu newspaper that is that China saying that India is part of the policy of globalization. But despite of the fact that India banned a few of the mobile applications and apps of China. So with regarding that, you have to know with regarding which part of the bilateral organizations this clause was said that two different nations of one single association they cannot debar each other. So with that only that comes important. So I don't remember which day's newspaper. I think it was yesterday's and all. They said that India is part of this organization. Even China and India both are part of this organization, and according to that, no country has any right to demoted or debar any other nation. So with regarding that also, we cannot say this is stagnant or this association is not being talked about for many days. If this is current, if this is being important here right now for your this year, then that is important. And for example, G20 and G4 and all, I can't say. Sure enough, G20 have lots of nations involved in it, but despite the fact they have lots of nations, they are not very much active. And it's just my personal opinion. And personal opinion can't be written for your civil service. I can't say that okay, G20 is not very much active that how it was before, because that's just a personal opinion and it is not of any relevant. And we cannot compare one association to the other, saying which one is more stronger or which one is more prominent or which one is more relevant. So yes, first one is SAG, and it was established in 1985, and its secretariat is headquarters in Kathmandu, which is in Nepal. The organization promotes development of economic and regional integration. That is for example, in NAM, that is non-aligned movement. I didn't put that up in today's class because NAM is not important. Okay, this is just an example. That is every organization, every international organizations or corporations that we form, they will be having a certain reason why they started this organization. They're not starting, okay, we are starting a club. It's not like that. They will be having their own specific reasons why they started it. The reason why NAM or non-aligned movement was started was that we are not part of, during those period, these world wars and all these cold wars were going on between all these super nations and all. So countries like India and all, we say that, we are not part of any nations, and we just recently attained our independence. We are struggling as such by ourselves. So we are not part of anyone, any part of, so such organization was started that is non-aligned movement. So like that also, all these associations are formed because they have their own specific prominence or their specific objectives why it was formed. So here the reason is that economic and regional integrations. We all know that all these nations are, if you have seen the map and all, they are very much closely adjoined. That is, these are the neighboring countries. And yes, and it was established in 1985. And yes, the first such summit was held on 8th December 1985. We all know that was established in 1985. And the first summit or the first conclave was also in 1985 in December 8th. So do not get confused with the dates and the nations present and where the headquarters at and what is their objectives and all. And the official language is English, and members are just 8 members like this. And SAARC comprises 3% of world's area. Why do I say that? Because we know that yes, India is big, but we know that India in comparison to the other nations is very much bigger. So all these nations, we could say these are developing nations. And when they comprises in the land territory, okay, suppose our land territory is 100%, and from that 100%, 3% of the land territory or the world area comprises of these SAARC nations. And 21% of world populations, yes, obviously, are nations like Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. These are, I think Nepal is not very much populated, but India, Bangladesh, and all, they are densely populated. And they contribute 3.8% of the global economy as of 2015. And present Secretary General is Amjad B. Hussain of Pakistan, and observes that there are 9 states having observed status of SAARC. That is, who are not part of it, but they are sort of like middlemen kind of, who are regulating us. Australia, China, European Union. And one more important factor I have to say is that every facts have to be updated. This is as of 2015. You have to know what is as of 2021. Suppose tomorrow is your exam and tomorrow is your exam and today was the reorganizations of all these positions of the secretaries or presidents, and all these things happen. So today's also you have to keep that in touch. You have to be updated of all the informations. And the next one is BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And this is an annual meeting of 5 countries. We all know that it's 5 countries. In 2006, Brazil, Russia, India, and China became a regular diplomatic coordination initiative with annual meetings of foreign ministers at the margins of general debate of UN General Assembly. And this is not just with BRICS, okay? We and China, that is India and China, are also part of many organizations. Sure enough, we are not in a very sort of like good relation with China, but even with Pakistan, that we saw here in SARC and all, we know what's the relation that India and Pakistan have. But despite the fact that we all are diplomatic, this is the general understanding. Doesn't matter what your personal interests are, but when you are, out front, okay, basically the question is, what is the duty of observer nation in any form? Is that sort of like make sure that they are not doing anything bad. Okay, it's just like that. Just observing. And yes, yeah, diplomatic coordination initiated with annual meetings of foreign ministers at the margins. Yes, I did that. First BRICS summit was held in 2019 in Yekaterinburg, and the depth and scope of dialogue among the members of BRIC group, which became BRICS in 2011, with the inclusions of South Africa, and 10 BRICS summit will be held in Johannesburg, South Africa in 2018. That is, before that, before 2011, it was just BRIC, and after that was BRICS. And I think with Narendra Modi ji, this BRICS was, very much prominent in news. I think even last year, if you have seen newspapers, it's always, if even if I don't see any other, international organizations, I always see BRICS and all someday or the other. And BRICS nations collectively account to 43% of world populations. Why? India and China. And Russia is geographically very big, but we cannot state about that the population is not that much, I can't say it's very much vast, but the land territorial wise, Russia is a very big nation, and the maximum population is being contributed by India and China. And with around 25% of the world's total land area, why we have India, China, and Russia is very big, and close to 30% of the GDP with around 70% of share in the world trade. The final architects of BRICS is the New Development Bank, or NDB, or BRICS Development Bank is a multilateral development bank operated by BRICS states whose primary focus of lending will be infrastructure projects, that is to helping each other in times of need. Like we all know that, for example, when these Covaxin and all these, coronavirus were started here, rolling out here in India, when we started the initiation of the vaccination program, the vaccination drill, this thing was there. That is, many other nations, even Brazil and all these Maldives and all, they depended India for vaccines and all. So we are sort of like our aim. The reason why all these international organizations, sure enough, each organization's objectives will be different from the other, but totally, if you ask me what is the overall reason for these international organizations, is to help each other out in times of need, in times of difficulties. And why are we doing this? And we are doing so that, one, for example, if India, we are recovering from the economic crisis after 1947, that is 1948, after independence. Suppose all the other nations are very rich and prosper, only India is recovering. We are starting to stumble upon, and it will be very much of help to us if we get sort of like assistance from the other nations as well. So this is the same thing. I'm not saying that other nations are recovering from all this, but everyone, every now and then, for example, in Corona situations and all, it was an unforeseen situation. No nations were ready for that. Even in China, it's sure enough there is a theory that coronavirus started originating from there, but even they weren't ready for that. And like we already discussed, in times of war crisis and war problems, we assisted Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and also we even sent our troops to them, and we helped this Dalai Lama when he sort of like ran away or eloped from Tibet. We gave him shelter and all these recognitions to him. So in spite of him considering him to be like sort of like a fugitive, he's a fugitive from a different nation, but still we took him in. The reason is that our main objective, collective understanding, is to help each other out. And Republic Day, yes, from these countries, yeah. See, this is Corona pandemic situations. Even the UK Prime Minister, he intended to come here, UK Prime Minister, but even he gave the chance of coming because it's totally, they are in their own worries and problems. They are going through their vaccination drive. They are trying to bring out this herd immunity, and we can't say that. And we all know what happened on the Republic Day. It was total chaos and all. So yes, we'll discuss that in different session. So, yeah, and the contingent reserve arrangement for providing protection against global liquidity pressures, which includes currency issues. That is, liquidity is that liquid cash. I'm not just talking about in terms of other converted amount, but liquid cash amount or gold. And whenever a financial crisis, in terms of infrastructure or in terms of financial, for example, if one nation uh, like Brazil, if that goes into bankruptcy, we are not developed nation. We are developing nations. But the our way is to pitch in the money or pull in the money so that it would help the other nations which are in terms of financial crisis. So this is the main objectives of BRICS. And yes, it's meeting of yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, and the depth and scope of dialogue among the members of BRIC group, which became BRICS in 2011, was inclusion South Africa. And the first BRICS summit was held here, and second BRICS was held here, and ninth BRICS summit was held here, and 10th is also. So I'm sorry, like I said again, you have to study all these dates at least for 5 years. That is 2021, if that comes in, or 2020, definitely 2020, 19, 18, 17, 16, and 15. And not just where it was held, but also who was chairman and who was the president, and all the important, like for example, what was discussed, what is the main theme being discussed in each summit, and what was the issues being regarded. So all these we have to go through. The next one is BIMSTEC, that is Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economical Cooperation. It was formed by member countries dependent on the Bay of Bengal. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I had it. Okay. I like okay, suppose this is we know that like we have three oceans bordering us. Here we have Arabian Sea, here's Indian Ocean, and here's Bay of Bengal. And it's not just India is being dependent upon them. We have all the other nations also. Okay, here all the other nations also dependent upon this in terms of ocean accessibility. And for that also, this was created in 1997, on 6th June. It was outcome of Bangkok Declaration's headquarters at Dhaka, which is in Bangladesh. Member countries are Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Bhutan, and Nepal. And it was formed by member countries. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm going upon with the same topic. And yes, the forum provides three countries with platform to engage in discussions for cooperation in the field of agriculture, trade, culture, defense, among the others. Most importantly, they are talking about the internal organizations. Internal organization, that is the basis of it. What is the basis of all the nations? Primary, secondary, and tertiary sector. We know what is our primary sector, which is agriculture, and trade and culture comes about sort of like a secondary and tertiary. And defense, yes, because we all are sharing boundaries. Like for example, if you would say that Bengal as a nation, it's sharing with with not just India but also in Bhutan and Bangladesh, and also here in Myanmar, and also, so all these are very much important. So all that has to be taken, and we know that there is lots of dispute going on between Bangladesh and our West Bengal. with regarding people migrating, illegally migrating and all. So all these has also been taken to consideration. For that, they cannot just go march into Bangladesh and say that, okay, you have to stop doing what you're doing. You cannot let your illegal people come here in our nation because we are already trying to feed our people. You can't send us more people here. You can't do that. We have to create sort of like a systematic organizations for that. And yeah, international tripartite grouping for promoting international cooperations among these countries. On 6 June 2003, Brasilia Declaration was signed by foreign ministers of India, Brazil, South Africa, which agreed on the. I'm sorry, I was talking about BIMS. I'm sorry, I was talking about BIMSTEC. I went on to other nation. Yes, and like I said, BRICS, I cannot say BRICS was formed about only about developing countries, because what is the R representing the BRICS? R is for Russia. Do you think Russia is a developing nation? No, Russia is not a developing nation. It's already a developed and thriving nation. So, it's not about just develop. It's all about helping each other, coming together, being there for each other. So, yes. So, BIMSTEC is all about that. Countries or nations which are dependent upon. One second, okay. Yeah. So here, BIMSTEC is all about countries which are directly dependent upon Bay of Bengal. And next one is IBSA, that is India, Brazil, South Africa. And mostly, it will be, the name itself will be having certain clue associated with it. You just have to study certain other factual information. But yeah, the forum provides three countries with a platform to engage in discussions for cooperation in the field of agriculture, trade, culture, and defense, among the others. Like I said again, I accidentally explained this topic without completing BIMSTEC. That is, we as a developing nation are discussing about our primary, secondary, and tertiary sector, and also about the defense. Why about the primary, secondary? Because these are the backbones. For example, the farmers' agitations that have been going on over here. What is the reason why all these people are supporting them? Because agriculture, these farmers are the ones who are supporting our nations. They are the ones who are the basis of our economic structure and our system. And so, for those reasons only, and you can't just have agriculture, you need to have trade also along with it, both the imports and the exports, and also within the domestic territorial inland trades and all. And all these are being discussed, and also with respect to your defense, but moreover, or all about your agriculture and trade culture. And is an international tripartite group for promoting international cooperation among these nations. On 2003, sixth Brasilia Declaration was signed by foreign ministers of these three nations, which agreed on the urgent need for reforms in the United Nations, especially the Security Council, focus on agriculture, education, energy, trade, culture, defense, among the others. That is, why is the developed nations developed? Why? Because their primary, secondary sectors are very much developed. What is the primary and secondary sectors? That is, for example, if one person from America is involved into agriculture, he is not just going to have this 1 acres of land. He will be having land in, probably in 50 or 60 acres of land, and it will be totally machine, and they are not farmers, they are actually industrialists. Okay, it's highly professional, and since their primary sector is very good, also their other sectors are also very good. Okay, that is the educations, the infrastructure, health system, all these has to be there. All the basic elements only are good enough, only then this will BRICS. Okay, you already are. Okay. Only if we are totally tackling all these basic necessities, and only after that we can get over with development or infrastructural, all these things. Before building all these big monuments and all, what do we need? We need health systems. We need educational systems. We need free accessibility to all these basic amenities, and more importantly, good system for agriculture. We are not in times of all these kings and all, where monarchical systems, they will be just imposing tax, and they don't care about how the irrigation facilities are and how far they are getting the yield, and they're not bothered about it. So that is it. And yeah, uh, So this is a BIMSTEC. So, like I said, this came in between this representation. So, like I said, this is the Bay of Bengal, and all the nations which are dependent upon that are comprising here the BIMSTEC organizations. And gross domestic product is 2.7 annually. And one more point I would like to point out is that for your writing for your mains, for example, if the question is for 10 marks, probably the question will be having, okay, write in 250 words. You cannot, they are not counting the words. All they want to know is that how much of information that you have. Try to have lots of concepts into it. Try to make your, don't write with all these elaborate sentences. Have lots of, concept and clarity in it. So even if this illustration, okay, even if you just roughly draw an India map and with all these neighboring countries, and if you just draw that, I'm sure you're going to get full marks out of it. Okay, they are not bothered about probably this whole schematic representation would only have 100 to 120 words, and the word limit is 250. No, they are not bothered about the word limit. If you write full essays like paragraphs and all, like stories and all, they are not going to read through it. Okay, your job is to make your examiner's job very much easier. You can't add more burden to them. So that's how you have to do it. And so this is one big prime example how you should be attempting your mains exam. And yes, and next one is Indian Ocean Rim Association. It's an organization consisting of coastal states bordering the Indian Ocean. We know that Indian Oceans, it's not just Sri Lanka, we have Maldives, Mauritius, and also headquarters at Mauritius, and presently it has 21 members. The Secretary General is K.V. Bhagirath from India. It was established on 6th March of 1997. And international organizations consisting of coastal states bordering the. I'm sorry, this is again going on the same topic. Yeah, so these are the nations which are dependent upon it, and if Australia is a fast stretch and all, but still they are dependent upon it. But these nations, okay, that is all these Mauritius, Maldives, these Singapore, these Southeast Asian countries, and Sri Lanka, and they are totally dependent upon that. And the next one, G20 have lots of nations. They have 20 nations in it, but we have other nations also, which are other organizations which is more even prominent than that. That is BIMSTEC is important, and IBSA and all, and BRICS is important. I don't understand why some students say it's not. You don't see that recurring in news, but I always find BRICS whenever. I don't know why I always find that. And yes, your G20, your international forum of a government, central government, governments of 20 countries, that is 19 plus European unions. We consider whole of European nations as just one. We know how many nations are there, and that is like 16 plus 1, and established in 1999. G20's aim is to discuss policy pertaining to the promotion to international financial stabilities, and to bring together industrialized and developing economies, discuss key issues in the global economy, and it's all about trade and globalizations. Okay, because we know that some nations who are very much developed in other sectors will be outsourcing to the others. For example, here in India, what do we have? We have Bangalore, we have Pune, we have Bombay and all. We have all these people who are being outsourced by all these highly developed nations. So it's all about coming together as one global economy, and trade and commerce, all for the purpose of financial stability. What is the reason? Financial stability is the reason why G20 came into being. And yeah, the main purpose of G20 brings together systematically important industrialized and developing economies to discuss key issues in global economy. And G20 economies account for 80% of the world trade. Why? Because we already have 20 nations. 20, that is 19 plus 1. And 19 plus 1 is a European nation, which is 16 plus 1. And 2/3 of the world population, approximately half of the world land area. And 2017 was held in Germany, Hamburg, and 2019 was held in Tokyo. So be everything updated. And the next one is BBIN, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, again neighboring countries association, aims to formulate, implement, and review quadrilateral agreements. Quadri means four. Agreements across areas such as water resources management, connectivity of power, transport, and infrastructure. And there is, for example, if I could say that we are have, for example, just hypothetical example, okay, like same again as individuals and neighbors. uh, you can't just because I'm sorry, I don't have a pen to write and show. Okay, just imagine, okay, just because you have a board over here doesn't mean that you can grow a tree over here. Okay, what will happen after a few years? This tree will totally destroy the the wall that is being separated by these two houses, or it will start being more problem to them. So always understand that these whenever these neighboring countries have an organizations for themselves, it's all about resources, sharing of resources, using of resources, and how far this resource will be more feasible to us. Problem is why we could say that almost the southeast or south central south Asian countries are developing. We are not developed. We all together, I mean, all of them are economically in almost like a similar situations. And passenger protocol is agreed upon is document detailing procedures for cross-border movement of buses, private vehicles, for transport facilities in sub-regions. This is again with the Assam and all. It's always about all these kind of states in the borders and all. They always have issues because of that, and so we have to have a certain protocol, certain organization, certain system has to be established so that this will avoid unnecessary confusions between two nations, unnecessary misunderstandings, which will sabotage our friendship with the other nation. And BBIN is motor vehicle agreement will permit member states to ply their vehicles in each other's territory for transportations of cargo, passengers, including third country transport and personal vehicle. For example, if you have seen the movie Bajrangi Baijan, if you have seen the movie, okay, it's just a small example. Uh, I'm sorry, I forgot the child's name. She came from Pakistan in train. That is, we India and Pakistan are in sort of like it's shown in the movie that we are sort of like an agreement. If they show the pass and everything, the visas, everything in intact, they will be let through it. So same way also for these purposes, for these such personal or professional purposes also, we are allowing each other for provided that it's through system, that it's not like illegal immigration. It's through system that okay, I will be given these permit, but I will have to go back to my place within certain amount of period, sort of like visas and all. And Asian Development Bank is providing technical advisory and financial support to BBIN MBA initiative. MBA is this vehicle agreement. That is, all these nations they will say, okay, we'll do something, we'll constitute a bank for us. That is, these four nations will be having their own banks and they'll put certain amount in that. And whenever we four nations, any of our four nations have any financial problems, this could support us. Okay, sort of like banking systems. So yes, yeah, BBI. And next one is G4 Summit. I think this is the last organization that I will be discussing. And the member nations are India, Brazil, Germany, and Japan. All these members support each other's bids for permanent seats in United Nations Security Council. And each of these four countries are figured among uh, each of these four countries are figured among the elected non-permanent members of Council since the UN's establishment. The economic and political influence has grown significantly in the last decades, reaching a scope of comparable to the permanent members. And G4 campaigns for UN reforms, including more representation for developing countries, both in permanent and non-permanent categories in the UNSC. The problem is that UNSC is the United Nations Security Council. For example, suppose we as a class, okay, a class is going for a discussion with our principal regarding excursion or field trip, something like that. So it will be very much good if you make friendship with each other students and say that okay, we'll all decide together that okay, we want to go for this place and this is our requirement. So if we say all this together and discuss, sometimes our principal will comply to us. So certain agreements are also discussed among by these nations so that it will be easier for them to benefit each other, help each other out, and also they wouldn't take any decision that will drastically affect the other nations in negative aspects. So yes, and so that was G4. And like I said, this is the last slide and take off. I'm sorry, take off. I don't understand. Okay. Is this a movie take off that you're talking about? Okay. So, like I said, is that so these are the important international organizations where India is a part of. And yes, like I said, you have to study lots of factual informations. The reason why I didn't include much of factual information is that I didn't want to scare you. But do not study all informations as one. First, study this information, and after a few days, add on points to it. Today, you just study all the basic informations. Tomorrow, you study when was the last 5 years organization or summits were conducted, which place not. So, add on points each time that you study, and this way, it will be easier for you to remember rather than studying lots of information and trying to get that into your head. It wouldn't help you. Try to study little by little, study everything, all the organizations at once, and the next day study all the organizations by adding on few points. That's how I study, and it helps me so much. So that's it for today's class. And after today's live session, after having your dinner, all of you watch today's budget session. And it's very much important. You have to watch budget session because it's very important, important, important. I'm keeping on repeating because it's very much important. I'll try to have a live session tomorrow regarding your newspaper analysis because of your budget session. And yes, that's it for today's class. And if you have any doubts, do let me know that also. And if that's it, then okay, then bye all. See you all tomorrow. Bye.